Awesome. Yeah, this is what I love about DePIN is there's so many different types of real-world industries that are being built in or impacted using a crypto kind of tokenomic model. I want to start actually down on the far end there with Keith and Bui. You guys are both in the DePIN Surf Accelerator. It's hosted by IoTeX. You're probably the most also deeply integrated or involved in our ecosystem from a tech community token launch perspective. So just curious how the DePIN Surf Accelerator has been for you. Like, what are some of the highlights? How has it been helpful? And either of you guys can start.
Yeah. I remember when we start our business more than 1 year ago, then I joined Token 2049 last year, the real world event. At that time, the DePIN term is like not heard of to me. But then when we built this real applications, we launched our MVP and we saw that IoTeX with the DePIN narrative and later DePIN serves. We engage with IoTeX team. They have Dr. Andrew, which is the research talk with us. They rely our real use case application, maybe because we compete with render network. But we may have a more advantage than over the render because render networks only use one rendering engine called Octane Render. We support more popular rendering engine. Currently, we support Blender AI, and later will be Cinema 4D, 3D X Max. So in the visual computing business, we may revolutionize that business because with one computer or one laptop, you can render much faster videos. So IoTeX really love our own use case, and they accepted to the DePIN Accelerator. We invited to pitch in Denver and many other events in Austin, in Token 2049 Dubai. Got mentoring by Mentoring Council of IoTeX. And also, we integrate DePIN Scan. It's now our device on DePIN Scan and support a lot of network, especially the network is huge. Yeah.
Keith, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, as a founder, it's a bit of a journey as you go from concept. I wrote the white paper for this in 2017. The technology wasn't there to really build it. It was too expensive to build it on Ethereum back then. And, as you start to look for the partners in the industry, how do you even take something from a piece of paper and implement it? We spoke to a lot of the different DePIN projects, DePIN kind of platforms, and look at layer 2 solutions. And what was really good for us is being a technical project that really could understand the value we were bringing, even though we hadn't raised any funds yet. We kind of been bootstrapping, we've almost got apps working, nodes ready to go, and to get an accelerator program where we can implement with the modular functions, get a bit of investment, that's helped us to kind of finish our prototype to get it ready for launch. And they've really helped to elevate us with events like this, getting to speak and present at the industry, and really elevate us. So that's been really great. And right from the first meeting we had, the vibes was awesome with IoTeX. They really stood out. They really believed in what they were doing, and that's important for us as well because we don't want to just work with anyone. We want to be very selective with which VCs, which partners are working. IoTeX really stood out with that, and to have the program like that to really help incubate you and get you ready for launch, it's been great.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been really cool to see you guys' success and growth over the past 6-12 months. Rich, I want to go to you next. There's been a lot of progress recently with XNET. So, the migration that you mentioned. Also, signed offload deal, which is great. I want to take us back maybe before the migration to a time when you guys were on Polygon. There wasn't a ton of DEX liquidity there for your token. There was then an Ethereum kind of pool launch that helped with trading, buying and selling for miners, investors. But there was also a really funny time where there was, I think, 80% of the XNET token liquidity was actually on IoTeX through our Liquidity Hub initiative, where we work with projects to bridge their tokens over, launch liquidity pools, and do co-marketing around trading your token. So tell us about what that experience was like and how that was helpful early stage for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is super important because every project has to start somewhere. And in the early days of XNET, we hadn't served 1 million users on their phones in the US. And we hadn't had like Ansem retweeting us and all that stuff, right? We were in a very different place. We had a relatively small number of radios. We had some really loyal folks who were helping to build our network, and we had like zero liquidity. Now, this is not a great place to be in. We didn't have the resources to try to farm that ourselves, but IoTeX stepped up and they said, hey, we've got this great community and we have this great opportunity to help you and you can help us. And so we said, well, heck yes, because our visions aligned and we jumped in. And you're right, like for a while there, like 80% of our liquidity was actually on IoTeX. And we were featured in IoPay, this wonderful DePIN focused wallet, right? And we were on DePIN Scan, and all of a sudden XNET, which had some excellent people and some great technology, started to feel like a real project, part of a real ecosystem, and IoTeX was absolutely essential for that, and actually was extremely easy to work with. So it was fantastic, and it's a big reason why we're here today.
Awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed working with you guys on that. Jesse, for you and Uprock, we have some exciting news coming up. I don't think we've shared it publicly, but we're going to be doing something similar with your token. So kind of creating liquidity pools on Mimo, RDEX, pairing them with IoTeX, and then also doing the reverse on Solana. What are you excited about for that kind of partnership? Is it the same vision kind of as Rich of just like kind of going multi-chain or tapping into other ecosystems, other communities, or what excites you about the Liquidity Hub?
Yeah, I think in many ways this is the right technology for this generation of crypto builders. In the past kind of even a few years ago, everyone was just kind of in their own silos and doing their own thing. The technology wasn't, there's still a lot of issues, use cases weren't great. Any kind of bridge technology kind of sucked UI-wise. All those things are getting better and better. And then especially in software, I'm getting better at it. This is my third mobile software company. And in the beginning, you tend to want to own every single piece. That you want to do it all. You just want to own it internally, everything now. And it's so stupid to do that. Like we were thinking about making a live map to show you all our live nodes, and then you guys have it. So we integrate with DePIN Scan. We checked this morning. We have about 800,000 nodes just active. And it's better to have a third party present it too, because you trust it more. And so that was just saved us time, and that's a very modular thinking, and more Web3 thinking. But we're doing liquidity pool too, and anyone who's in IoTeX, whether it's a community or builders, they're there because they're bullish on the whole DePIN narrative, and it really is finding product market fit faster than a lot of crypto because it bridges the virtual and the physical worlds in a very tangible way. So yeah, for us as a, I never like to spend money on ads. The last thing I want to do is raise a bunch of money from VC and then give it right back to Google. So for me, I'd rather spend money on engineering time to integrate with DePIN Scan or the IO2 for the swaps and stuff like that. It's money well spent, and then we get a good link juice from you guys and vice versa. So I think, and it also exposes us to your community of people who want to be interested in what we're doing.
For sure, the future is modular, the future is multi-chain.
Yep.
Keith and Bui, back to you down there. In terms of the IoTeX tech stack and launching your token on IoTeX, being more deeply kind of tech integrated, what parts of the tech stack are you most looking forward to working with IoTeX on? Right? There's IOID, there's WebStream, which is the off-chain compute. What can we do to help you guys the most, or what are you most looking forward to utilizing?
Yeah, for us, we need to create that verified devices, So the first thing we're going to implement is the IOID. We want all of the mobile nodes, the fixed nodes to be registered on the network. And then when we're taking all of these data streams, we want to use WebStream, to verify the data, to basically like a roll-up for DePIN, right? To compute on the data, make sure the data is coming out in a way that we want, and being able to issue those incentives to the users to build the network. So that's the kind of the initial focus, but then those modular functions are great because as we expanded our roadmap, we can keep expanding in and pulling things in.
What about you?
Yeah, IOID is very important to our platform because we have to integrate with our proof of rendering. We actually also coordinate with Witness Chain. They have a DePIN coordination layer. So IOID also, we have a Inferix bench, which is we use it to evaluate the GPU category of GPU, and IOID with one tool we have to integrate about facilitate process of the verifying the GPU side. Besides that, the DePIN Scan and Web3 stream, we are on DePIN Scan our device. There we have over 2,000 devices connect to our network, though we still in the MVP mode of a rendering layer. But when we deploy the mainnet, the rendering activity will be happening, and the verification process is taking place. And it's cool seeing us DePIN verification real in action. We have a IOID. Yeah.
For sure, yeah, really exciting. I want to talk a bit more about DePIN scan. So I think we got your perspective, which was really glowing review. But in my mind, like DePIN scan's always kind of been this foot in the door product, right? I think IoTeX has been in the DePIN space for a long time, but the whole DePIN narrative kind of came up alongside what we were already building, which was like a focus on IoT and blockchain. So DePIN scan is one of these products that we kind of provide for free to the DePIN space, the DePIN founders, because we saw this kind of gap in the market where every DePIN would need to build some kind of explorer, right, to show stats like number of and location of devices, token price, et cetera. And I think it's kind of just a waste of time if every DePIN founder builds that themselves. I think, Rich, I remember you saying like we had to spend a month or two on it, like it was very like not core to what we wanted to build, but like we needed to do it. We wish that DePIN scan would have existed, right from the get-go. So I'd love maybe your perspective, or Keith or Bui, on, what has DePIN scan done for you guys? Do you plan to build your own Explorer in the future, or is it kind of good enough as is? And maybe any new features you'd love to see on it as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we just started implementing DP scan last week, but before, we haven't really launched the nodes to the public yet, so we've got maybe 30 nodes around the world where we're just using our internal test net, configuring everything and getting the software right. For a kind of a high-level view of devices and social following and things like that, it's great. And we do have our own internal Explorer that has more information about all of the data and the performance and things like that. But so we're going to have both. But having a single view for all of the DePIN platforms is great, because it's a place where people can come and learn about new projects. We're already kind of like moving up the list, and it's quite exciting to see us on the map. From where we've come from. So yeah, it looks great.
What about you?
I think DePIN is about using the Web3 for the Web2 users, and I think that currently DePIN is categorized many kind of small kind of industry in DIY, design, and visual computing and other. And I think DePIN scan should be a place where if you can bring more Web2 players too, maybe all the users, our client too, so kind of coordinate with the project in Web3 on DePIN scan or somehow. I mean, IoTeX or DePIN scan should be a place for the Web3 projects that meet the Web2 users.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I want to do a quick kind of like maybe ideation session here that I have you guys. What are some pain points that you have faced when building out your DePINs, and maybe you want to ideate around like different products or like pieces of the tech stack IoTeX could even help out with in the future, right? Because we have this modular approach. We're always thinking about what else can we do to help DePIN founders, even if they're not building on our chain natively. Like, there's a lot of different ways to work together. I think DePIN Scan and the Liquidity Hub are two of the main ones, but we want to build like a third, a fourth, a fifth product that are that level. So curious, like, yeah, pain points you guys have faced, and then also any ideas around how IoTeX can continue to help.
I have two. Let's see. One is that you guys mentioned the ID, the verification. We have that problem because we make it so easy for you to earn on mobile. 90% of our installs are mobile. Desktop is the worst because it's really easy to emulate and farm and scam and stuff like that. Mobile, you get the help of Google and Apple because we go through the Play Store and the App Store, but it's still a problem. So how we kind of currently handle it, we want the first experience to be really rewarding. So when you install the app, we auto-generate the wallet for you. You start earning tokens instantly because we start selling your resources pretty quick. And then you start earning over 7 days. We call it verification period. And then after 7 days, if we consider your device real, your tokens you've earned go to your main wallet. So you still earn. You don't just wait till you get verified. But it's going to be an ongoing nightmare too, because people are going to figure out how to game it and stuff. So that's the thing to think about. And then the other problem with DePIN is, it's really easy. It's the world's best reward program because people can earn. You don't have to pay. You don't have to buy something first, like a credit card. You can earn instantly because everyone knows data is the new oil. Like everyone, your grandmother understands that. You don't have to explain it too much. But because it's so easy to earn, you have a really lot of supply, and then you have to focus on the demand side. You just have sell pressure all day long. So I think like even expanding a DePIN scan thing to help people. Like make a resource for helping kind of get an idea of how much of the resource you are available to sell, And then for the users to be like, hey, like for example, we have customers on the B2B side says, hey, we only want to target Android devices. Another customer just wants iPhone devices, and they're willing to pay this per month per device. And so even sending us that to the API and be like, hey, this is your top device earners, or like this geo, if you're an iPhone in the US, you can make this from this program. And so, tied to that, and also just say this network provides this much compute power hash rate. And so B2B customers can see, and so just help sell the resources that all these DePIN projects are building up, to help deliver the demand. And then the modular part of it is the more we can support each other's wallets and swaps and bridges, I think that's great, because the more liquid all our transactions are, it's like the exchanges, because like in Jupyter you exchange, even though Orca, Radium, you may consider them all competitors, but it doesn't matter, because when you want to swap, it just goes through sometimes regular, sometimes Radium, doesn't matter, all it's just liquid, everyone makes little fees and everyone's happy. Same thing here, if I have someone that wants to do a speed test and it's going through and they're paying for that data task from one network and you can't deliver on it, you should be able to like, oh, Mike or Uprock can do that and send it to there, and then we'll do that test and send it to that user. So I think the more liquid we can make those transactions, would be amazing for everyone, and it helps the demand side.
Super cool. Yeah, it sounds like, so help on the validation for the supply side, and then help on just like demand side monetization, which I think makes sense.
It's really funny because I was actually thinking almost the same thing. Yeah. No, seriously. So for a long time in DePIN, there was this idea: build it and they will come, right? Just make supply, and there'll be a market for what you're making. I have sad news for all of you. It turns out that it's actually really, really hard to connect with demand. It's doable, but I think that's one of the big open questions. And so if IoTeX could really help turn something like DePIN Scan effectively into a market where people who want what we're all making, can actually find it through DePIN Scan, and I might discover stuff that I never knew I wanted, right? So I think it could be a fantastic bridge to a new market, a new source of demand. And then once there's pull there, once everybody knows, oh, you find great stuff on DePIN Scan, then founders for DePIN will be like, oh, wow, I think there's an unmet need. I'm going to start building and targeting that. So that's like the first thing. And again, also, kind of building on this, verification, right? Because what happens as soon as you make an incentive system? You know what's going to happen. Someone decides, I can game that, right? So I feel like there also should be sort of a market, if you will, for verification services that, like, oh my God, I've got to verify the location of all these radios. Like, okay, I guess I can figure out how to do that. Or I want to have metrics on the performance of my network. Oh, I've got to go build that. Well, maybe there's somebody right here, already plugged in who actually can provide some of that. Who knows? Maybe someone out there is going to bring some great decentralized, like SSID and other location verification stuff to DePIN Scan. But I think if we could actually help with the verification side and we can help with the demand side, boy, you would have an absolute barn burner of follow-on products, because that takes away two of the biggest challenges and pain points for DePIN founders.
Some great ideas.
Hello? Yeah. So, for us, there's a big issue between the difference between data and actually insights. And especially in the telecommunications industry, even people in their homes or people who need to make decisions, there's no point to give them raw data because they don't know what to do with it. So that's why a lot of the insights, the extraction, how you visualize data, how you build AI models to actually extract that from the different DePIN networks. So we have to build that ourselves on top of that, but it's the same for the DePIN project. So as you're trying to meet with demands, you really got to address that technical skill gap. And that's something like the experts who are building the DePINs, they can build these models to help them get the insights out of that. So that would be something really cool to build into it as well, and really help with the demand side, because if you don't know what to do with the data, it's useless, right? It's got to be actionable, and it's got to be timely and real time as well.
Yeah, I think for us, because in visual computing, which is a pretty big market, in terms of 3D rendering, movie making, and other things, I think we here for most of the time with IoTeX is about like Web3. But I think the real use case is important, user is important. I think why don't IoTeX like also organize some event with the users for each industry, DIY in visual computing, with other players in Web3, and have many other clients in there, because we in Web3 we developed the solution to disrupt the Web2, something like that. But we are not very big in Web2. But with the help of like platform, we might organize big event, make more kind of attention to the client side user base for each industry. Then I think at that time people will saw, wow, we are providing solution with cheaper price, with better, faster in terms of speed. Then it's going to be amazing for the builders Web3. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think last question before we wrap here. I think what I've seen a lot more this cycle is the acceptance of projects to being multi-chain, right? To having their token live on multiple chains, to tapping into multiple ecosystems. So, I mean, to me personally, it seems like there's a lot of upside, but I'm curious for you all as founders, do you see, being multi-chain or being able to be multi-chain bullish or bearish, and why?
I think being multi-chain is also a good option for kind of adoption in the Web3. But anyway, as I take platform to support us in go with multi-chain, because you have a DePIN liquidity hub and the bridge and other. We want a kind of like smooth transition to multi-chain with the help of IoTeX.
Yeah, I think as well, when it was single chain, you had to put a lot more thought into it because it was a long-term vision. And now you've got more options, whether that's to implement modular stuff like IoTex's view, where you can bring in certain elements, and the same for other tokens. You can find partners, you can get liquidity on other chains, and it just opens up a lot more options. So I think that's going to be the way that we go.
Yeah, I think the internet just constantly gets more complicated. So I just know it's going to be multi-chain world. There's no way around that's just happening. I do appreciate the modular approach, especially on mobile, where it's just so resource restrained. Like it's getting better and better. You can start actually running some AI models on phones too. But it really, you don't want to have to like adopt a library and have to download the entire binary some blockchain code to get it to work and do some ancillary stuff just to optimize for the hundreds of Androids and iPhones out there. So being a modular and just being able to optimize for certain use cases is a great approach, and not having to build everything by yourself is good. And there are different approaches out there. So yeah, I do see this multi-chain world. For me, I always think of I never hate on it because I just look at it as my fellow startup people, and I just never like to talk shit about other startups. And so it's like we're all trying to build for a better internet. And so when you have a better solution or good solution, or you have a community that's really excited about what you're building, why not work together? Because our real competitors are the Googles of the world. If we want to create a good moat, then we should work together and build a better internet together. So that's kind of how my philosophy of it.
Yeah, I think it's important when you're engineering anything to think through carefully the trade-offs, right? And I think there's good reasons to say, well, it's a multi-chain world. I think that's the future. At the same time, where are we planting our feet, right? So the thing about a blockchain is that I can be pretty guaranteed of consistency on the chain that I'm on. As soon as I start to bridge, things get a lot more complicated, and I have fewer guarantees. So for high performance, for kind of the maximum verification, I want to think carefully about where I'm going to be primarily operating, especially for high throughput and all that. That's going to be my primary chain. At the same time, why not take advantage of the fact that there are communities, liquidity, modular infrastructure, and other places? So I think thinking through carefully is sort of like, where are you going to put your corporate headquarters, right? In some sense, where are you going to put your center of operations? But then thoughtfully building those bridges and thoughtfully embracing the interoperability, knowing that doing so brings advantages, but also, of course, can create complications like so many other things in life. So multi-chain, but being very thoughtful about where you're based, at least for the next however many years. And you can migrate, as we've just proven, but oh my goodness, is that a terrifying thing to do? Only do it if you really, really have a darn good reason to do it, because you can do that basically, you have one shot at making that work. If it doesn't work, I'm not even sure what you do at that point. So yeah.
Unless you're DeGod's NFT, you can do it twice.
Well, I guess that's true. I guess that's true.
Or 3 times, yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much. You heard it here first. The future is modular, and we're excited to be building it on IoTeX and with these DePIN founders right here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, hold for a quick picture, guys. Thank you so much for sharing more about what's possible to build on IoTex's modular infrastructure. Our next panel is going to be on a topic I spoke about earlier, verifiability for DePIN. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Robert from 1KX, Rock from Network 3, Mac from Aether, and CTO of IoTeX, Kevin. Let's give him a round of applause, guys.